We are going to the Fountain of Youth.
Let's see if we got some espresso and coffee and all that.
Hey y'all, Carolina Tony here. Today the road brings me back to St. Augustine, Florida, and we are here to see the Fountain of Youth. This is the place, supposedly, where in 1513, old Ponce de Leon, Leon, he's back behind me there, he came looking for the Fountain of Youth. And did he find it? Well, we'll find out a little later in the video. But for now, let's go ahead and get started. Kinds of wildlife, and here is a peacock. The Native Americans here when Ponce de Leon came, and they were from the, let's pronounce it, Timucua tribe, and this is actually their burial ground. It was all in this area where they uncovered some of the bones. In 1934, laborers at the Fountain of Youth began work to cultivate the citrus grove here on this property. Almost immediately, a shovel thrust unearthed a cluster of a man's bones. The sheriff was called in. It was soon determined that neither the graves nor the bones were recent. Local archaeologists contacted Smithsonian, which sent specialists to St. Augustine for Washington. Ultimately, after a preliminary analysis and digs, the effort shifted into a full-scale archaeological investigation that would continue for the next 5 years. By the time the digs were completed and reports filed, 94 Christian burials of indigenous people were uncovered, studied, and documented. The Fountain of Youth Park became a historic site of unprecedented depth, based upon unrefutable evidence. What is exactly meant by the term indigenous Christian burials? The Indians who occupied these grave sites were converts of the Catholic mission efforts in St. Augustine. Upon their deaths, they were buried in ritualistic manners that emphasized the conversions, even as they lay in the grave. We'll just walk around the settlement and look at some of the sites. These rocks or stones are made out of something called tabby. Building material, as you see, is made with seashells. The tabby consists of a mixture of lime, sand, water, and crushed oyster shells. The other building material is called coquina, which is a sedimentary rock that's actually found all around the world. These are recreated representations of what the Native Americans that lived here in the 1500s, what their houses looked like. I'm assuming that these frames built with poles are probably at the same location that they have done some excavation and found original houses, such as one over here. Let's go over and take a look at it. And they have demonstrations throughout the day of different people, reenactors, showing some of the trade and jobs of the people that were here.
House. One of the single most important industries of early colonial Spanish capitals was boat building. Boats of all shapes and sizes were necessary for travel, but most of all for survival. Small sailboats, such as the chalupa, were of shallow draft and rigged with sails. This made ventures for hunting and trade up the inland waterways of the interior of Florida possible. They could be used to scour the coast for larger marine life, too. If I may draw your attention to the large map before you, this is what we know today as the Boazio map, named for Giovanni Battista Boazio, the Italian cartographer who drew it. Story of the 1586 raid on the town by Sir Francis Drake, or El Drago, the Dragon, as he was known across the Spanish Empire.
Here's some facts I bet you didn't know. Juan Ponce de Leon was born in Spain in 1460. He was the governor of San Juan, which is now Puerto Rico, from 1509 to 1511. On his first recorded sea voyage to the United States, he made his first landing in the vicinity of St. Augustine, Florida. I'm standing on the site of the original mission church here in St. Augustine. This is where the Spaniards came and they tried to Christianize the Native Americans that lived here. Of course, these are not the original boards, but this is where it actually happened. This is where it was. We're standing on hallowed ground. How about that?
It means Sunday?
A Timacuan hut would have been a comfortable shelter for 2 or 3 generations of families, providing protection from night from animals and cover from inclement weather. Timacuan homes were mostly for shelter. Daily activities and tool making, food processing, and socializing went on in the open village. And so the home only needed to be large enough to accommodate sleeping space and room for a hearth to cook by. The circular shape of the building helped to make the structure very resistant to wind, up to a Category 2 hurricane. This anchor was purchased by a Walter Fraser and placed here in 1933. Not sure what ship it came off of, but they probably think it's a Britain's Royal Navy. They used a anchor similar to this on their 74-foot gunships. You see it's been here a long time because when it was put here, that tree was real small and the tree grew around the anchor. And of course the tree is not living any longer. Well, I am in a building, and that is kind of depicting what old Ponce de Leon would have found. But the real deal is down the steps here. Well, this is the Fountain of Youth. Well, we are going to find out if this stuff works.
Oh, you're talking about the boots?
Do I look any younger? Still got wrinkles? For what it's worth, I have drank lots of spring and artesian well water. This is not on the top of my list of good taste of water.
I did it.
They're strutting their stuff. There you go.
It's okay. It's okay. We dropped her bread. Oh no.
Exit through the gift shop. You can even buy some of the Fountain of Youth water in here. Personally, I think the Aquafina that happens to come from my hometown is better. I didn't buy a thing. Well, that is going to do it for our trip to the Fountain of Youth here in sunny St. Augustine, Florida. I hope you enjoyed this trip and video. If you did, be sure to give me a big old thumbs up. Be sure to share with your family and friends. And until next time, y'all have a good day.